Welcome. This is going to be the start of part 2 of quadratics. And to begin part 2 for the next, week and a half, 2 weeks, I don't know, we're going to be doing factoring, okay? Maybe you remember factoring, maybe you don't, but for this warm-up, all right, we're going to find out, okay, what two factors, right? What are the two numbers whose product and sum is indicated below? So if you remember, this is how you factor, all right? So, for example, what multiplies to -6 and adds up to 1? That would be 3 times -2, right? And so, you can do this if you want. What multiplies to 100 and adds up to 25? That'd be 20 times 5. You can finish this page, all right, for a warm-up. What multiplies to 36 and adds to -13. So this one, if they're multiplying to be positive, right, and adding to be negative, that means they both have to be negative because a negative times a negative makes a positive. So that'd have to be -9 times -4, all right, would make positive 36 and add to make -13. What multiplies to 7 and add up to 8, that'd be 7 times 1. So like I said, you can try and figure these out. All right, it's kind of just the same stuff, a bunch. Some of them are, maybe harder than others, but I think that you guys can do it. Then we get to factoring, all right? So factoring is very much like what we just did above, right? That's all factoring is when a equals 1. If you remember, this is our quadratic standard form, okay? So what you're doing is you're finding what values multiply to get C and add to get B, all right? So we're going to pick 3 examples from above. So let's just do this one right here. All right, that'd be x squared. So what multiplies to 40 and adds to 14? So that'd be plus 14x plus 48, all right, because it's multiplying to get C and adding to get B. We can do this one. That'd be x squared minus 9x minus 52. And let's do this one right here. What multiplies to 55 and adds to -56? We've got x squared minus 56x plus 55. Okay, so what you've got going on here is that you solve this riddle, all right? What multiplies to get C and adds to get B, and what you're going to do is you're going to put those numbers in parentheses. So if you remember, this is called factored form, right? And so what multiplies to make 48 and adds to make 14, 9 and 5, no, 8 and 6, yes, 8 and 6, all right? So the factors would be 8 times 6, all right? And so how that looks in factored form is x plus 8 and x plus 6, all right? You take those two factors and you put them in the parentheses with the x. Hopefully you remember this by now. So let's do this one. What multiplies to -52 and adds up to -9? What multiplies to make 52? 14 and 6? No, it's too low. Wait, maybe that's right. I actually haven't done this yet. 14, no, that have to be 14 times 5, no. 13 times 4? Ooh, it is 13 times 4. So that has to be -13 times 4. Yeah. So this one, okay, would be, put it in the parentheses, all right, x minus 13 and x plus 4. And let's do this last one. Okay, what multiplies to make 55 and adds to make -56? That one's easy. Okay, whenever they're one apart, it's just going to be that one and 1. So we've got x minus 55, and we've got x minus 1, right? -1 times -55 would be +55. And then negative 55 plus negative 1 is negative 56. So that's how it looks. And if you don't believe me, all right, you can actually check this out for yourself. And I think it's kind of useful to see this, all right, because it kind of shows you what's going on and why we do this. So if we did the distributive property here, right, we call this like the double distributive property, okay? If you remember, you distribute with the x, right? So x times x, that makes x squared. So we've got our x squared. That's why I want those two x's in front. Then we've got x times 6. So that makes 6x. Then we have to distribute with the second term with the 8. So we distribute with the 8. That's plus 8x. All right. And then we got 8 times 6, which makes 48. So what's happening here? How are we getting b and c? Well, b and c, right, are going to be just these two terms added together, right? Because we got to combine like terms. So 6x plus 8x, that makes 14x. And then we have plus 48. So how did we get 48? Well, we multiply. That was the last thing we did, right? We multiplied 8 times 6. So the way to get the middle term essentially is that you're adding these two numbers together, right, when you're doing your combining like terms. And then the way that you're getting your last term is that you're multiplying those two numbers, right? So that's why you're kind of solving this riddle, okay? Multiplying the two outsides with the two insides adds up to the original trinomial's middle term. Yes. Okay. What does she want? What do they want us to do here? I feel like we just did that above when we checked for ourselves. I don't know. Anyway, the last thing that we're going to get to is the zero product property, right? A times b equals 0, right? So if two numbers multiply to make 0, then that means either a equals 0 or b equals 0, right? The only way to multiply and get 0 is if one of your numbers is 0. And this is essentially what we're doing when we're factoring. We're taking this equation of terms that are being added together, and we're turning it into a multiplication problem, right? The first parentheses multiplied by the second parentheses. So if it equals 0, then we know one of the two parentheses has to equal 0. Okay? And so you can set up these two like mini equations, and you could solve them, right? And you could actually get the zeros, right? So remember we did this with the quadratic formula. This is another way to get the zeros, all right, by factoring. And so we can do this. We can divide by 2, and we get x equals 1/2 and x equals -5. So once you get your parentheses, all right, you could set it equal to 0 and you could solve. So this would be like x plus 8 equals 0, and this would be like x plus 6 equals 0, right? And you could solve those, and you could actually get the zeros. So pretty cool. All right, so hopefully you remember this a little bit. You've got a practice to do as well, but that's your assignment for tomorrow. If you have any questions, let me know, and have a great day.